is Juliana Francis. I'm a crime reporter, or what people call security reporters. The security reporter has to do with a journalist who cover different beats that have to do with security. So maybe we'll talk about the police beats, customs, even EFCC, with intelligence units, and everything that has to do with security anyway. So I'm also the media head of Advocates for Children Vulnerable Persons Network. I have a blog. I'm a publisher of a blog, Security News Alert. I'm a mentor. I'm a trainer, and also I'm a freelance journalist, and I'm passionate about issues that do with women and children. I'm passionate about issues that have to do with justice, quest for justice for vulnerable people in the society. I prefer to say I'm a journalist that actually being a voice for the voiceless, and people have come to know and recognize me for that.
Okay, so you recently published a book. Can you tell us about the book?
Yes, I actually did. I recently published a book, or should I say, recently launched a book, because the book has been long there, just that I didn't have the money to go into publishing it, so I had to borrow. Can you imagine? So I had to borrow, and then I had to borrow money again to do the launch. Then I have to, after doing the launch, I have to start paying the printer, and then I have to start paying the person I borrowed money. So it's a whole lot, and that is what most writers are struggling with in Nigeria. But anyway, back to the question. The book is about human trafficking, and this particular human trafficking, my story, I focused on young Nigerian girls that we are trafficked by deceitful friends, relatives that somehow close to their family members. And while writing the book, I had in mind the target audience being the secondary school students. So why do I focus on secondary school students? It's very simple, because the book itself is a campaign tool. I'm trying to give back to the society. So, and I want a situation whereby if anybody picks up this book, especially young people, they'll be able to understand the dangers in allowing themselves to be deceived, or their parents allowing their children to be taken away from them by people who promise to send them to the best school, who promise to be giving them money. Because the truth is that there's actually no free lunch in Freetown. So if people are coming to you painting a luxurious life they want to give your children, you should start asking questions. So when these children read this book, I want to believe that they too, they will begin to understand the red flags surrounding human trafficking. Human traffickers are not there to make your life better. They are exploiters, and they're just there to use the children as either as a domestic help, whereby the child becomes a laborer. The child is working and somebody else is collecting the money. Or the worst, the most dehumanizing, they put these girls into sexual slavery, where girls are being forced in brothels. They are being forced to sleep as much as with 5 men in a day, 6, 7 men in a day, and all the money these clients pay are collected by a single madam. So you can see the horror of what we are talking about, the horror of what human trafficking is all about. And then is for us to be able to curb this menace, because it's actually a big syndicate. We all need to come together and start working collectively. And this is my own quota. This is my own quota to the fight against human trafficking, this book. And I want government, religious bodies, schools, public school, private schools to look for this book and key into it. I'm available for more reprints. I'm available for a conversation to take this matter forward. Thank you.
Talking about the book, what inspired you to write the book? Where did you get the inspiration from?
Yes, I got the inspiration after years of covering NAPTIP. NAPTIP in Nigeria is the agency saddled with the responsibility of tackling issues that have to do with human trafficking, checkmating or curtailing it. they work with international bodies. They have collaboration with even Abike Daugri, who is in charge of issues that have to do with people in diaspora. So while covering the beat, I had a encounter with several girls who were trafficked. When I started covering the beats, NAPTIP had just been established then, and then we were having issues of girls being trafficked from villages, Nigerian villages, to overseas, and we were having a recurring decimal of people from Edo State, people from Akwa Ibom. But now it's no more like that. Everybody is being trafficked. It's no more secluded or reserved for just one or two states. Every of our child is at risk of being trafficked. It doesn't matter where you are, whether you are Yoruba, Igbo, or Hausa. As long as you're a child, or as long as you're a girl, and you have the mechanism of the equipment to as endowment from God, and which traffickers see as the equipment to make money, you are likely at risk to be trafficked. So I've interviewed so many of these girls, ranging from 16 years, 17 years, 18 years, some of them in their 20s. I think the max maybe 14, 15. But one fateful day, I had an encounter with a traffic victim, and she's just 10 years old. I've never had an encounter with a 10-year-old girl who was trafficked, local trafficking. She was trafficked from her place and placed in a hotel. I couldn't really wrap my head around that. And when she was rescued, we discovered that she has been in that hotel for like, I think, a year or two. So you can try to subtract how old she was by the time she was found, and how old she was when she was taken to that place. And we now got to understand that the child herself was reserved for just white men. Her mother was giving her to white men, and these white men, they will sleep with her. They pay in dollars. So the madam was becoming rich.
Share with us your journey through journalism. Like, how long have you been into journalism?
Oh God, man, I've been into journalism for, is this not over 15? Over 18 years? Maybe 20 years. Okay. I graduated to is it 2000, South 2001. Then I went to work with the Sun newspaper 2002. Yeah, 2002. So do the calculation. That's when I started journalism. So, and I started first with covering general beat, and my first. I want to believe. I always tell people that my first mentor is my first mentors is a late Jingba Igwe, Mr. Awoyifa, Mike Awoyifa, and of course Mr. Femi Adesina. So I have been with them. They've been going through my script, looking at it, but mostly Mr. Adesina was the most influential person in my life. Before Mr. Adesina now brought Mr. Dipo Kende, my line editor, and fixed me. I started with general beat. Then when Mr. Adesina brought in Mr. Dipo Kende, he now puts me under him to work as a crime reporter or security reporter anyway. And Mr. Dipo Kende actually fine-tuned me to what I am today. So that is it. That is it.
That's really great. So what has been pushing you? Like, what has been your inspiration? What's keeping you going in the field?
Well, that is a tough question. There's no easy or straight way to answer this question. But what I can say is this. When I started journalism, I was very passionate about it. Then along the line, I developed depression, and I was like, I wanted to quit. I just wanted to leave because I was always sad. Journalism was no longer giving me joy the way it used to give me. You know, why people were, when I started journalism, why people were just interested in dating and marriage. I was just interested in stories, getting bylines, pursuing stories was for me the paramount. It was like akin to like sexual organism for me. But along the line, something just, I was just sad. I was just permanently sad. I couldn't sleep. I was always eating. It was a terrible period for me, and it still is. I'm still battling it. But I now stumbled into what I call investigative journalism. And you have to realize that investigative journalism and your routine journalism, they are not the same thing. Investigative journalism is very taxing, it's very challenging. It occupies your mind, it occupies your head. You are thinking how to break into this story. You are thinking of how to uncover a kind of a rot in a system or in an institution. That kind of brought me back to life. And now, writing any other story is so drab and boring for me. But if I'm doing an investigation, I'm just like I'm a kind of a drug. It keeps me going. I'm so excited. I want to finish the story. So investigations that have to do with justice is what actually keeps me going. I want to be the voice for the voiceless, and in being voice for the voiceless, I want those voiceless people to be able to get justice, and that kind of keep me going. And that is why along the way or along the line, I got involved in issues that have to do with gender-based violence and children. And that, again, is another thing that has been keeping me going. You see, anytime I get depressed or anytime I feel this monster despair or sadness wants to envelop me, I just think of what to write or investigations to carry out. And for me, has become my own therapy, doing investigation and pursuing stories that have to do with justice.
Okay. The last one is talking about, because looking at the society today, a lot of young people, that's the young people, or there are people who go through sexual harassment at work. So what advice do you give them?
So when somebody is being pressured, sexually harassed, it could be through lewd statement, it could be through touching. It could be through little things that people actually don't count. But you know that it's recurring, maybe from a particular person. That is actually what is called sexual harassment. When somebody is passing on the corridor, he will touch your breast, or like a particular story I was editing. The lady was working as a mechanic in an automobile company, and she said, I think she was the only female in that company, and every time she's in her overall working, the guys will come and be rubbing their manhood against her buttocks. That for me was the height, and she didn't do anything. She didn't take any action. She just left it at that. Sometimes we need to test the law. How do we test the law? Take and move the conversation forward. Try to lodge a report. And that's why I keep saying, even if you go to lodge a report, or you go to all these human rights activists, gender advocates, civil lawyers that fight for people, fight for vulnerable people, you are still going to think about how do you get justice. Even if the matter will have to go to court, they will ask you, where is your evidence? And that is why, if over time this thing has been happening, then start thinking of evidence gathering. If you have a pervert that has been disturbing you at your workplace, 75% chances that he will be sending you stupid documents that protect the woman at the workplace from sexual harassment, that even protects the men, because now it's no more a breaking news or a breaking story that some mischievous women are beginning to weaponize rape. They are beginning to weaponize sexual harassment. So you, just to punish you or just to show you, they will just allege you of what you didn't do. So if organizations become intentional in having policy documents in their companies, it will protect the woman and it will protect the men. Now, a woman who is under sexual pressure in the office will not be productive, and that place will become automatically hostile. That is a problem, and it will likely create what we call mental disorder for her. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, ma. So, what advice do you give to the young people out there as a crime reporter?
So, as a crime reporter, when people talk about young people, what first comes to my mind is crime, you see. And my advice to young people is to keep away from crime, to stay away from crime. But again, I've interviewed so many young people who have been caught or who are at conflict with the law, and I discovered that most of them are actually from broken homes. So it's a problem. And even the divorce rate, separation rate these days is so high. So if marriage is not by force, because the woman herself needs to have a good mental health. The husband needs to have a good mental health. And if they're in a relationship that is affecting their mental health, then it's better for them to separate. But while seeking your own happiness, don't forget that the child's happiness should be paramount. If parents are going to divorce or going to separate, the child, if he's a minor, should be with the mom. And the father should be able to give financial support, even from wherever he is. The child needs a safe space. A child needs to be cherished and loved. A child should not be thrown into the field to become a breadwinner when the child is not ready. And that is why they take to crime. But again, you may say that there are so many people who come from affluent family, wealthy family, some young people who have mom and dad and still they go into crime. That is true. But if you look at the statistics of those from broken homes, you will see that more children from broken homes go into crime than the others. So let's even bring all on the table, both the one from broken home, the one from the affluent home, the one from the home that even seems to be balanced. Everything have to do with foundation. Parents should start talking to their children about taking to crime. Churches, religious leaders, community leaders should be part of this conversation. And I think our laws concerning children, the child rights law, need to be kind of should I say amended. Because why do I say this? I think there should be a place for parents to be punished. Parents that know that their children are into crime and yet they embrace them. Do you know that I was speaking to somebody, an official of EFCC, about 2 or 3 or 4 years back, and he told me that there are some mothers now that have an association called Yahoo Boys Mothers Association, and they celebrate these children when these children bring Yahoo money. So what are we saying? This kind of parents, why should the law not come hard on them? So if a parent knows that the child is going into crime and they are celebrating that child and they are eating from the proceeds, the mom or dad should be made to face prison term. And again, government will have a role to play in stemming the tide of crime, escalating wave of crime. Our industries are no more there. They've become churches, they've become mosques, they've become nightclubs. So what are we talking about? We are so interested in money that we are not looking at the young people. So people are going to the university, they are graduating, and there is no job. What do you expect? So even if you are pulling in the plugs here, we should be able to equally do other things. You can't tell people not to take to crime when you are not giving them something back. So that is my own take on that.
All right, thank you very much, ma. I really appreciate this opportunity.